Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys. I'm Christian Ocampo here in Magnitude 8 Post in Los Angeles, California. And today I'm joined by Les Claypool. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Good to meet all you.
Good to meet you too. So, we have a few questions for our interview. First of all, what's it like working in the industry today?
Well, unfortunately, today I don't do a lot of dubbing anymore. I'm mostly doing restorations of shows. I just finished doing the restoration and remix of Castle of Cagliostro, and I'm currently working on the Street Fighter II feature restoration, the complete audio restoration and remix.
Okay. So, do you have any favorite show you have worked on?
Um, yeah, lots of them. 20 some odd years, there's a few. Definitely Acura is a stands out. I love Giant Robo. That's a really early one that we started way back in my garage days of the beginnings of dubbing in 1992. Anybody that hasn't seen that show should definitely check it out because it's insanity in a good way. Trigun, I love that. I mixed all of those myself, so I love that show. Um, this interview would be way too long if I talked about them all. I don't think we'll hit any 5 minute cap if we talk about everything I've done in 20 something years.
No, for sure. So, what was it like working on Ghost in the Shell?
Hard. Well, we did. Do you mean the original feature, or the series, or Solid State Society, or standalone, or
Any of them or one of
all?
them?
Well, the first movie was interesting because that involved the entire Japanese production crew and directors and everybody coming over um, to America when we worked on it. And they flew my wife Mary to Japan. She wrote the original Ghost in the Shell movie, so that was all very interesting. The series was great because it was natively done in 5.1 surround, so that was a blast. Having the ability to do that instead of just regular limited TV stereo. Um, I don't know. That's all I got.
All right. So, what was it like working on Trigun?
I love that show. That's one of my favorites because that was totally done in house. We dubbed it here, did all the editorial, and then I mixed it all when I had my Burbank studios. I mixed it all there, and that was a blast. I love that show, and I think that still holds up to this day. I think that was one of the earlier shows where we started to kind of come into our own, and we were starting to get good at what we were doing, and it started to show. We weren't, the very early days, we were all flying by the seat of our pants. We didn't really know what the heck we were doing, and we were doing it fast. Well, once it came to Trigun, we kind of slowed down. I would take a little longer to mix and give it a little extra love and care.
So, what was it like working on Giant Robo?
Madness, utter madness. Anybody, if you go out and watch, if you people go out and watch that show, you'll realize it's a blast. It's one of those that we started it early on when we weren't really, we totally hadn't completely gotten our groove yet as far as the quality of work, and but that one was pushing all of us. It was so over the top that it pushed everybody to do the best job they could, and there'd be crazy things like they wouldn't tell us how the story was going to progress, so people would be cast in it, and they'd be cast as multiple characters. And then later on in the series, they'd be playing huge scenes with themselves, and we never knew that was going to happen because they never told us. So now you've got actors that are acting with themselves in giant scenes, So but that's a great show. It's always going to be one of my favorites.
Okay, nice. So, what was it like working on Acula?
Um,
Akira.
exactly. It's pick one. Um, that was definitely a labor of love. They really wanted that one to be done right. That was I had to initially write a letter that went to the Akira committee, basically outlining what I was going to do, what I wasn't going to do. So, this is their baby. This is the granddaddy of them all. So once they got that and realized that, I had been doing this with respect to the idiom for many years, they basically just said, okay, they let me roll. Nobody ever came out from Japan to supervise. And we turned that from a 4-channel surround. It's an older movie, so 4 channels all they had back then. We cleaned that up and turned it into a 6-track, 6-track surround mix. We added a lot of effects, kept them all slightly underneath the original, so we weren't going over what was originally there. We did a lot of cleanup on the old audio tracks. And one of the reviews I saw, which made me chuckle, was this movie has the best use of silence that we've ever seen. That you've ever seen or you've ever heard. Because there is a scene where the director intended for the movie to be silent, but back when it was originally done, you had a lot of noise inherent in the audio process. So what we did, Ted Hall was the mixer at POP Sound that I was working with, and I had Ted, pull the entire console down, channels at a time, until we created nothing but digital black silence. And there's one scene in the movie where that comes up, and it's the creepiest thing you've ever heard because people would stop eating popcorn. It was so quiet, they were afraid. Wait a minute, I guess I shouldn't do anything here. So that was a tough one, but it was really rewarding because, it's Akira. Come on. How do you not want to work on Akira,
It's a classic though.
It's a great film. Every frame of it looked gorgeous. To their credit, I believe it was, I don't know if it was Pioneer or if they were Geneon at the time. I think it was still Pioneer. They spent a lot of money on that. They were going in and cleaning up every single frame, and they wanted it done right. So that one we gave all the love to, and that's it.
All right, another show you worked on, what was that working on, called Geas?
That was fun too because we had to develop a lot of little processes for all the different voices, and to make sure it was all understood that this person is speaking and that person isn't, and this person is now talking through his little special system, and there's a great story. I wish I could remember it, but of course now that the camera's running, I can't. You gonna edit this?
We can.
Okay, good. Because Cat, what was the main character's name? The come on, brain. When the
main character.
Yeah, when he's in his alter ego.
That was douche, but it was no Zero.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So we're sitting there. I'm supervising it, and my mixer that I'm working with at the time, Chris Elam, we're doing all this, and he asks, but if we put all these processes on his voice, how are they going to know that it's Zero? And I told him, and this is in front of the entire crew that's working. I said, Chris, hit the play button. So he hits it, and Lelouch says, I am Zero. I think they'll know. It doesn't matter what we put on the voice. When he says he's Zero, they're going to know it's Zero. But no, that was a great show too. It was a lot of work. What that one had was something I started doing from the beginning of my career. It's called perspective cutting. And instead of mixing everybody at the same volume in the same flat environment and only putting reverb on thought lines, I hated that. I've always hated that. I do it more like a feature film where the thought lines are totally dry, more bassy, and more in your face, because whose thought line is full of echo? What is your head hollow and the size of a cave? It doesn't make any sense. So I would always do the thought lines dry, but then we would perspective cut all of the dialogue, which takes forever to do, but it's great. It's more exciting for the audience. And so they're in an environment and the camera's cutting back and forth, and then somebody else is listening in a distance. So every time that changes, you change the way they sound in the audio environment. So there was a lot of that in that show. So that made that enjoyable, getting to do that kind of stuff.
All right, so is there anything else coming out that you can talk about, or anything you want to plug in this time?
Yeah, I don't know if I just mentioned it at the beginning, but I just finished the audio restoration of Castle of Cagliostro, and the remix of that, and that turned out really well. That's an amazing Blu-ray. Those guys spent so much time on that Blu-ray. There's so many versions and supplementals, and it's a great Blu-ray. And me plugging it, I don't get a nickel for it, but it's just great. And I'm currently working on the Street Fighter 2 feature. I'm doing the same thing for that, a complete audio restoration, and this time it's going back to the original Japanese music soundtrack is now in the movie instead of the redone version that was in '95, I believe. They changed all the music, so now it has the original Japanese soundtrack. So I think that'll be pretty cool.
Is there any Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media for the fans to get hold of you?
Yeah, I do have a Facebook page. It's Les Claypool. Feel free to browse that, and if you want to ping me on a message, I don't guarantee I'll get back to you, but at least you know where to find me.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining me for the interview. And I want to thank the fans for tuning in for another episode of the Ohio Guys. I'm Christian,
And I'm Les.
and we'll see you all next time.
Take care.
Bye.